Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the country's largest and first of its kind startup event, visits an exhibition in New Delhi. India's 44-day-long electoral process begins with the country's election commission notifying the first phase of general election. European Union and United Nations criticize Hong Kong's security law, call it deeply worrying, fear that it could erode freedoms in a China-ruled city. And the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 Trophy Tour launched in New York City. The tournament begins on 1st June in the US and the West Indies. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the country's largest and first of its kind startup event called Startup Mahakumbh in New Delhi on Wednesday. Prime Minister Modi said that India's startup ecosystem is flourishing at an unprecedented pace. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
Startup Mahakumbh 2024, where innovation meets opportunity and entrepreneurship thrives. In this journey of discovery, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the entrepreneurs and stakeholders, heralding India's remarkable strides in the world of startups. PM hailed India's startup journey.
आज जब देश 2047 के विकसित भारत के रोड मैप पर काम कर रहा है, अब हम भारत में इनोवेशन और स्टार्टअप कल्चर का ट्रेंड लगातार बढ़ता हुआ देख रहे हैं.
The Startup Mahakumbh, held at Bharat Mandapam in New Delhi, has ignited a fire of creativity and collaboration with its resounding theme of Bharat Innovates. PM Modi said that India has more than 1.25 lakh startups, 110 unicorns.
देश ने स्टार्टअप इंडिया अभियान के तहत इनोवेटिव आइडियाज को एक प्लेटफॉर्म दिया, उनको फंडिंग के सोर्स से कनेक्ट किया. हमारा स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम सिर्फ बड़े मेट्रो शहर तक सीमित नहीं है. ये देश के 600 से अधिक जिलों तक पहुंच चुका है. इसका मतलब है ये एक सामाजिक कल्चर बन गया है.
From deep tech to agri-tech, biotech to medtech, AI to gaming, the confluence of stakeholders and experts promises to propel emerging sectors to new heights. PM Modi also stressed on the 1 lakh crore fund announced for the research and innovation in interim budget that will help sunrise sectors. India's startup ecosystem not limited to metro cities. It has now become a social culture. With over 2,000 startups, 1,000 plus investors and 100 plus unicorns, the Startup Mahakumbh is India's largest and first of its kind startup extravaganza.
The Startup Mahakumbh is designed to foster innovation and entrepreneurship across India, focusing on the government's agenda to boost emerging sectors such as deep tech, agri-tech, biotech, medtech and AI. The integration of an aspirational India with the startup sector will propel India's economy during the Amrit Kal and make India a developed nation by 2047. With camera person Vicky, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
And Tapas Bhattacharya now joins us for more from New Delhi. Tapas, tell us a bit more about the event itself. How's the response been from startups and aspiring entrepreneurs alike?
Well, they were absolutely ecstatic. The first, foremost is that this is the Mahakumbh, where each and every startup in the country actually come together. They have made it a point to come here and share their experience. So you have more than 3,000 startups. You have incubators, entrepreneurs, businessmen, and then the, unicorns, all coming together under one roof, making sure that the success story of India is here to stay. Remember, India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, and the people, when I spoke to them, they said that it is because of India's ability to find solution to the problems that every day that one faces. So, and it's been a great year for them so far in terms of the kind of money that has been generated, and also they've been talking a lot about how the government has helped them in their endeavors so far. So overall, it's been a very positive response coming from them, and one believes that right now India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the country, and if things go as per plan, it won't be that far when India will take the numero spot in that.
Also, Tapas, what can you tell us about the ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship in the country today? For instance, we know that Startup India is a flagship initiative of the Government of India, intends to catalyze startup culture, isn't it?
Yes, it is. In fact, there is a lot of emphasis that has been given on this Startup India. Then it has been linked with other initiatives of the Government of India at the same time. Now it is not just it's not just a top-down model. You're talking about a bottoms-up approach at the same time, where even in the school, in the colleges, you have adult tinkering labs where the students are pushed to think beyond what is there in their curriculum, to think over and above what they can. And then in the college and the university level, they are given grant to seed funding in their startup, in their ideas, and then take it forward further if they can they succeed. So those parts are there, and then when you take that and you combine that with Make in India campaign, you combine it with India's Industry 2.0, 2.3 sectors, especially sectors like deep space, deep tech, AI, gaming nowadays. These are the sectors where India has done really remarkably well in the last couple of years, and one believes that the future is here, especially when it comes to medtech, agri-tech. That's where a lot of innovation has been made. We saw some of the innovation that was there in this particular Startup Mahakumbh, and one believes that this is just the tip of the iceberg, and a lot more can be done in days to come.
Indeed, as my colleague Tapas says, it is the tip of the iceberg. Watch this space, as they say. On that note, Tapas, thank you for the moment. That was Tapas Bhattacharya reporting from New Delhi. Right, moving on, let's now get you the latest on what's happening in India in the run-up to the world's largest democratic election. India's 44-day-long electoral process begins Wednesday, with the Election Commission of India issuing the notification for the first phase of the election. Voting for 102 Lok Sabha constituencies across 17 states and 4 union territories will take place on 19th April. The last date for filing of nominations is 27th March. 39 seats of Tamil Nadu, 12 seats of Rajasthan, 8 of Uttar Pradesh, 6 seats of Madhya Pradesh, 5 seats each in Uttarakhand, Assam and Maharashtra, 4 seats of Bihar, 3 seats of West Bengal, 2 seats each in Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur and Meghalaya, and 1 seat each in Chhattisgarh, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Jammu and Kashmir, Lakshadweep and Puducherry will go to the polls in the first phase. The 2024 election will be conducted in 7 phases, with the final phase scheduled for the 1st of June, and the counting of votes will take place on the 4th of June. Some other stories on the general elections in India. In Tamil Nadu, for instance, the AIA-DMK party released its first list of 16 candidates. In the AIA-DMK alliance, the DMK is to contest on 5 seats, the SDPI on 1 seat and the Pudhiya Tamilagam on 1 seat. This according to AIA-DMK General Secretary Edappadi K. Palaniswamy. Now, Tamil Nadu's ruling DMK party released its manifesto on Wednesday. It promised not to implement the Citizenship Amendment Act or Uniform Civil Code and to provide subsidies for LPG and petroleum products. The event was attended by Chief Minister M.K. Stalin, DMK parliamentarian Kanimozhi and other party leaders. The party also announced its first list of candidates for the general election. Now, 2 days after resigning from the posts of Telangana Governor and Puducherry Lieutenant Governor, Tamilisai Soundararajan rejoined the BJP party. Soundararajan had contested the 2019 Parliament election from Thoothukudi in Tamil Nadu on a BJP ticket but lost to DMK's Kanimozhi. She was the second governor of Telangana, a state formed in 2014, and the first woman to hold that post in the state. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has decided to limit misinformation in view of the parliamentary election in India. The company is working on removing voter interference and enhanced transparency and accountability across its platforms to support a free and fair election. Meta said that 40,000 people are working globally on safety and security, with more than $20 billion invested in teams and technology in this area since 2016. 15,000 content reviewers are put on duty to review content across Facebook, Instagram and Threads in more than 70 languages, including 20 Indian languages. The company said that it is applying the methods developed during the course of lessons learned in hundreds of elections around the world. My colleague Dibyendu Mondal joins us from New Delhi. Dibyendu, how's the election campaign in India shaping up? Fill us in on the day's developments so far.
Well, Ramesh, the election campaign is, of course, in full swing, and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi just concluded his 5 days visit to the southern states, all the 5 southern states he was touring. He just came back to Delhi last evening. Remember, for the BJP, the southern states this time plays a very crucial role because the BJP is expecting to increase its tally to 370 seats, and the southern states this time around will play an important role in increasing the BJP's final tally number when the results roll out on the 4th of June this year. But of course, the campaigning is picking up momentum slowly as the election fever grips across the country. In the meantime, as we speak, the first phase preparations for the first phase polls have begun. Just about a month, in fact, less than a month from now, the first phase of polling to the general elections of 2024 will begin, and all political parties, including the Congress and other opposition parties and regional parties, have kicked in their campaigns across multiple states here in India. The BJP is, of course, going full throttle in multiple states where it will be contesting. Having said this, the negotiations for seat sharing with multiple regional parties are still underway. For example, in Odisha, the BJP is in talks with the regional party BJD, where it is trying to formalize its alliance with the regional party BJD, which is ruling the state of Odisha for the last 15 years now. The BJP are in talks with MNS in Maharashtra, and we are hoping that soon an alliance would be concretized in the coming time. The BJP is also expected to roll out its list of the remaining candidates in the next couple of days. The Congress also met yesterday. The Congress Working Committee also met yesterday, which discussed on the agendas of the manifesto of the Congress Party, as well as the few list of names that the Congress Party talked about and discussed yesterday. But also the Congress's Bharat Jodo Nyaya Yatra also concluded recently, and all other regional parties are picking up their campaign momentum slowly across the country. The regional parties are also doing their respective campaigns in their respective states where they are expected to contest. But having said this, the first phase of polls are in the states of Northeast, Tamil Nadu, parts of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bengal, as well as Uttarakhand. So these states will see more aggressive campaigning in the coming days, and of course leading up to the election, to the first phase on the 19th of April. Back to you.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Debyendu, thank you. That was Debyendu Mondal reporting on the day's developments insofar as the elections are concerned. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Taiwan warns of Chinese military bases built on 3 islands surrounding Taiwan's islet of Taiping in the South China Sea. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi calls on Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra. And Myanmar's military rulers auction the home of jailed former leader Aung San Suu Kyi.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Taiwan has warned of Chinese military bases built on 3 islands surrounding Taiwan's main holding in the South China Sea. Taiwan's foreign minister on Wednesday said that China has built enormous military bases surrounding Taiwan's main holding in the South China Sea. However, he said that Taipei is not looking to further escalate tensions in the strategic waterway. China has carried out extensive land reclamation in the South China Sea, building military facilities, causing major concern in the US and around the world. And my colleague Patrick Fogg joins us from Singapore. Patrick, can you tell us more about Taiwan's concerns over Chinese military bases?
Well, Taiwan controls an island on one of the most southerly points of the South China Sea, Itu Aba, or Taiping, as the Taiwanese refer to it as, and evidently it is concerned about the build-up of military bases nearby, namely on Subi, Firecross and Mischief Reef. The Taiwanese Foreign Minister Joseph Wu said that the Chinese were building enormous military bases. There have been calls from by lawmakers from Taiwan's 3 main political parties for President Taiwan to visit the island to reassert Taiwan's sovereignty. She could still do that before the end of May. That's when Taiwan's new President William Lai will be inaugurated. But at the same time, Taiwan has said that it wants to resolve the issue peacefully, but without causing any sort of difficulty. So it doesn't want to provoke any tension as such over the situation. But strategically, you know, this island perhaps has some value to China. Of course, it recognizes it as part of its own territory. We're told that it does have a runway which can support resupply flights. So strategically, there is, as I say, some value there. But, it is also a reminder, as you mentioned, of the expansion of military bases and air bases in islands in the South China Sea, which have been a concern to the US and other countries around the world.
Also, Patrick, what can you tell us about the timing of these remarks?
Well, look, there's very little doubt that the comments were meant to coincide with Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to the Philippines, where Washington reaffirmed its ironclad commitment to its ally, particularly at a time of heightened tensions in the South China Sea. And, it was interesting also in an interview with Bloomberg, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said that the Philippines wasn't trying to poke the bear, but that it was suffering from increasingly assertive actions from Beijing, if you like. So Taiwan was making these comments, no doubt, to remind the US in particular that it is very much in the same boat, and it is a call, perhaps a reminder to Washington that it too needs to maintain support defensively of Taiwan. But also, one would have to say that this was also an opportunity to remind the international community that Taiwan is a victim of China's aggressions.
Patrick, thank you. Patrick Falk reporting there from Singapore. And staying in the region, the European Union and the United Nations have criticized Hong Kong's new national security bill, saying that it is deeply worrying and could erode fundamental freedoms in the China-ruled city. On Tuesday, Hong Kong lawmakers unanimously passed a new national security bill. The package, known as Article 23, punishes offences including treason, sabotage, sedition, the theft of state secrets, external interference and espionage, with sentences ranging from several years to life imprisonment. The new law will have extraterritorial effect outside of Hong Kong, giving rise to fears that it could be used to intimidate and restrict free speech in other jurisdictions. It will come into effect on 23rd of March. DD India's Laura Westbrook has more from Hong Kong.
I'm standing outside the Legislative Council, which is Hong Kong's mini parliament, and on Tuesday, John Lee, the leader of Hong Kong, said Hong Kong had fulfilled its constitutional duty in passing Article 23, as it's known, which is Hong Kong's own domestic national security legislation. He called it a historic moment that was more than 20 years in the making. Now, he says that it will stand alongside the 2020 Beijing-imposed national security law that was imposed after months of pro-democracy protests in 2019. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, he gave a statement saying he was alarmed by how quickly this law had been passed. He also said that provisions could lead to self-censorship and could have a chilling effect. That concern was also raised by Human Rights Watch. And there have been concerns raised among the legal experts in Hong Kong, saying that it could have a chilling effect. The government, though, says that this is necessary. It has sought to reassure the business community, saying that normal business activities won't be affected, but that uncertainty is still around here in Hong Kong today.
In more news from the Indo-Pacific, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi called on Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in Canberra on Wednesday. The last time a Chinese foreign minister visited Australia was in 2017. The two countries are rebuilding their ties after a period of strained relations. Beijing responded by imposing tariffs on billions of dollars worth of Australian commodity imports, most of which have been lifted since a change of government in Canberra 2 years ago. And earlier, during a meeting with Wang Yi, Australia's Foreign Minister, Penny Wong, has raised Australia's concerns about human rights in Xinjiang, Tibet and Hong Kong. She has said that her government is seeking to manage differences with China wisely.
Would expect I raised Australia's concerns about human rights, including in Xinjiang, Tibet and Hong Kong. I expressed our serious concern about unsafe conduct at sea, our desire for peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and in our region.
Myanmar's military junta holds an auction for the sale of the home of jailed former leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who has spent 15 years under house arrest. No bidders showed up at the auction of the lakeside house, for which the starting price was set at around $90 million. The property was up for auction at the behest of the Supreme Court after a years-long legal battle between Suu Kyi, who was ousted in a 2021 coup, and her estranged brother Aung San Suu. Nobel laureate Suu Kyi is serving 27 years in detention at an undisclosed location for a multitude of offences. World leaders and pro-democracy activists have repeatedly called for her release. North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un guided a ground test of a solid-fuel engine for a new type of intermediate-range hypersonic missile as part of a program of developing national defense capability, state-run broadcaster KRT reported on Wednesday. KRT said that the great success of the test allowed for the project to proceed under a timetable for completing the development of the new hypersonic intermediate-range ballistic missile. It said that the test was conducted at the Sohae satellite launch station on the country's west coast on Tuesday. North Korea conducted a flight test of an intermediate-range hypersonic missile in January, which it said at the time used a new solid-fuel engine and also tested the operation of a maneuverable warhead. Meanwhile, North Korea's test followed a recent military drill between U.S. Special Operations Force and a brigade of South Korea's commandos. The drill was conducted from a U.S. Special Operations MC-130 aircraft on the last day of the Freedom Shield exercise, which saw the participation of an unprecedented number of member states from the U.S.-led United Nations Command, which has operated as part of the armistice since the 1953 Korean War. Now take a look at some more stories making news around the world. South Sudan has shuttered schools in anticipation of a severe heat wave that is predicted to linger for 2 weeks. Residents in parts of the capital Juba sweltered without fans as the heat sparked power outages. Authorities have urged people, mostly children, to stay indoors as the temperatures could reach an exceptional 45 degrees Celsius. Russian climate and ocean specialists launched a new season of monitoring in the Arctic. The mission will last until October 2024 and will monitor permafrost thawing, thermal balance and microclimate features of snow and glacier covers and glaciers as well. A South Korea-flagged chemical tanker capsized off the coast of Yamaguchi Prefecture in western Japan on Wednesday. According to officials, 4 people were rescued and operations to rescue 7 crew members were underway. Britain's Foreign Secretary David Cameron characterized the ongoing conflict in military-ruled Myanmar as a multifaceted civil war. He emphasized that there is a need for former colonial ruler Britain, Southeast Asian bloc ASEAN and other countries to step up and help end the fighting. Cameron expressed hope that Britain could facilitate the delivery of aid to the most affected populations in Myanmar. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Tensions in Haiti continue to escalate amid increased attacks by gangs. Thailand returns the relics of Lord Buddha along with those of his disciples to India. And Finland is the happiest country in the world, tops the list for the 7th year in a row. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses the country's largest and first of its kind startup event, visits an exhibition in New Delhi. India's 44-day-long electoral process begins with the country's election commission notifying the first phase of general election. And the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup 2024 Trophy Tour launched in New York City. The tournament begins on 1st June in the US and the West Indies. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the country's largest and first of its kind startup event called Startup Mahakumbh in New Delhi on Wednesday. The Startup Mahakumbh has ignited a fire of creativity and collaboration with its resounding theme of Bharat Innovates. Vymanik Aerospace is a defense drone manufacturing company which has developed a drone for laying mines aerially. The drones detect minefields laid by enemy forces based on patterns and types through special sensors and AI. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya spoke to the CEO of Vymanik Aerospace, Akhand Pratap Singh. Take a listen.
At the Startup Mahakumbh, the ideas galore. There is plenty of innovation ideas that we can see here. And I give you this particular drone, which is expected to be a major game changer for the defense personnel. And I have with me Mr. Akhand Pratap Singh. He's exhibitor here. How this is, different from any other drone? You mentioned that it can be helpful for the defense forces. How?
So at Vymanik Aerospace, we have developed this drone, which is being used to lay the minefields. Anti-personnel mines are being laid through this drone, and this records each and every point where it is laying. So when we have to remove them, clear the minefields, then also our drone, it have all the record. And also we can detect the minefields which have been laid by enemy forces, and the type of mines they have used and the patterns with the use of AI and our special sensors.
And you mentioned AI. How does AI help in this? Does it calculate where exactly the mines will be? And if you have already placed the mines, how will they clear it?
So actually there are different patterns which different countries use for laying the minefields, and there are different types of mines. And also we look for some specific signatures because mines are a bit inside the soil. Only a small portion is visible or it is covered with the soil. So we detect all those data and look for the patterns, and based on those things we identify the...
It's an innovative idea, as I mentioned, and these are the innovations which are propelling India to become a Viksit Bharat by 2047. With Campus and Wiki, this is Tapas Bhattacharya for DD India from Delhi.
Right, moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar delivered India's national statement at the third Summit for Democracy under the theme Democracy for Future Generations. The summit is being held in Seoul, South Korea. The minister said that under India's constitution, every citizen, regardless of his or her background, enjoys equal rights and opportunities.
The Indian constitution, a beacon of pluralism and inclusivity, stands as a testament to the confidence of the founding fathers to create a nation where every citizen, regardless of the background, enjoys equal rights and opportunities. The spirit of debate, discourse and consensus building that pervaded our historical past continues to breathe life into our democratic institutions.
Minister Jaishankar also highlighted other key features of India's democracy. He spoke about the importance of women's participation in India's electoral process.
By reserving seats for women in local bodies, we today have 1.4 million women of the largest cohort of elected women representatives at the grassroots level in any part of the world. Our recent decision to extend 33% reservation for women in both parliament and state legislatures recognizes the fundamental principle that women's voices are indispensable in shaping the nation's destiny.
Take a look at India's history of elections, which have evolved over the years from using paper ballots to electronic voting machines.
After independence till 1952, India was run by an interim legislature known as the Indian Constituent Assembly. The Election Commission is an independent constitutional authority brought into force from November 26, 1949, whereas most of its other provisions were made effective from January 26, 1950, when the Constitution of India became effective. The first ever elections were held on the basis of universal adult franchise, which is associated with Article 326 of the Indian Constitution. It states that all citizens, regardless of their caste, education, religion, gender, color, race and economic conditions, are free to vote, and anyone over the age of 21 years old could cast their franchise. The voting age in India was reduced to 18 years by the 61st Constitutional Amendment in 1989. India has an interesting story from how its elections transitioned from voting via ballot paper to electronic voting machines and then to VVPATs, that is, voter verifiable paper audit trail. During the 1952 elections, a low level of literacy was a major challenge. There were over 173 million voters, most of them had no experience of voting. So, in the first elections in India, the symbols of respective candidates were affixed on ballot boxes to facilitate voters. No mark was made on the ballot paper to cast a vote. The ballot paper was simply put by the voter in a box carrying the symbol of the candidate of their choice. This helped preserve the secrecy of the vote as well as enabled voters to vote as per their choice. The ballot paper was replaced for the first time with electronic voting machines in 1982 on an experimental basis for by-elections to Parur Assembly constituency in the South Indian state of Kerala. The Representation of People Act 1951 was amended in 1989 to provide for the use of EVMs. General elections from the year 2004 have been conducted via EVMs only. Thus, technology became an integral part of the electoral process. In 2013, the Voter Verifiable Paper Audit Trail or VVPAT was introduced to enable a voter to verify that their vote has only gone to the candidate of their choice. A printer attached with the EVM in the voting compartment prints the name and symbol of the candidate for whom a voter has voted. This printed slip remains exposed for 7 seconds under a transparent window and gets cut automatically and falls into a drop box which remains sealed. A VVPAT was first used in Noksen, an assembly constituency of the northeast Indian state of Nagaland, in the September of 2013. As a pilot project in the year 2014, Indian general elections, 8 out of 543 parliamentary constituencies used the VVPAT system. During 2019 general elections, VVPATs were deployed in all polling stations of the country. Election Commission of India believes that the introduction of VVPAT has brought utmost transparency and credibility in the EVM-based voting system and conclusively put to rest all misinformed doubts and misgivings regarding these machines and the voting process. Antara Sinha for DD India.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will travel to Bhutan on Thursday. His visit would signal the importance attached by India to its ties with the Himalayan nation. DD India's Amritpal Singh reports from Bhutan's capital, Thimphu.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Bhutan on the 21st and 22nd of this month. The visit comes days after Bhutanese Prime Minister Shering Topge's visit to India from the 14th to the 18th of March. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will receive Bhutan's highest civilian award, the Order of the Druk Gyalpo, from the King of Bhutan, Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuk. Bhutan had announced the award on the occasion of the country's 114th National Day in 2021. The visit is expected to further cement relations between the two neighboring nations. India and Bhutan share a unique and exemplary partnership which cuts across various sectors like hydroelectric power generation, manufacturing, hospitality, pharmaceuticals, education. In fact, many Bhutanese students every year are given various scholarships to study in India. And also over 1,000 Indian ITES companies are training young Bhutanese students in schools like this, equipping them with IT skills. Infrastructure development remains a key component of India's developmental assistance to Bhutan. Prime Minister Modi will be inaugurating a mother and child hospital built with Indian funding.
In this hospital, there will be OTs, there will be neonatal, ICU. So you call it, all the facilities are now incorporated in this new hospital. So we are very happy to see that we have a now new state-of-the-art hospital funded by the government of India.
Now we have more facilities out here, so we don't have to go to Kolkata or anywhere else.
In strengthening the healthcare services of Bhutan, I think India has played a big role, because back in the day there were lots of patients who needed to be referred out to India because we didn't have the facilities that were required here. But in the recent days, thanks to help from the Indian government, we have brought in new equipment, and they have been helping us with the infrastructure. They've been helping us with technical expertise as well.
We are very lucky that we get support from India, and especially for the lives of patients, they make a huge difference.
As Prime Minister Modi prepares to visit Bhutan this week, the stage is all set for further strengthening the multifaceted relationship between the two neighbors, especially in the critical field of infrastructure development like this mother and child hospital, which has been funded by India, that the Prime Minister shall be inaugurating. With my colleague Neeraj Singh and cameraman YK Loknath, this is Amritpal Singh for DD India in Thimphu.
Right, moving on, Thailand has returned the relics of Lord Buddha along with those of his disciples Arahata Sariputra and Arahata Maudgalayana to India. The relics reached India on Tuesday after being displayed in Thailand as part of a 26-day exposition. India's Minister of State for External Affairs and Culture, Meenakshi Lekhi, received the relics at a ceremony marking their return home. Millions of people paid respects to the relics, which returned to India amid full state honours during the exposition. The relics serve as a spiritual bridge between India and Thailand and foster a deep-rooted civilizational connect. Traffic police in India's capital, New Delhi, created a green corridor on Monday afternoon for transporting a harvested liver from an airport to a hospital. The 16 kilometers were covered in 18 minutes. The organ was safely and timely transported from the Terminal 2 of the Delhi airport to Akash Healthcare Super Specialty Hospital in Dwarka area of the city. 35 traffic personnel were deployed along the corridor for the smooth and fast transportation of the ambulance carrying the organ. In 2023, Delhi Traffic Police provided a total of 24 green corridors. This year, 8 green corridors were given till date. Now take a look at some other stories making news in India. India's President Draupadi Murmu accepted Minister Pashupati Kumar Paras's resignation, who resigned on Tuesday. Paras was overseeing the Ministry of Food Processing. President Murmu appointed Kiren Rijiju in Paras's place in addition to his existing portfolio. Delhi High Court seeks Enforcement Directorate's response on a plea moved by Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal challenging several summons issued to him by the ED in connection with the Delhi liquor policy case. The court fixed the next hearing on 22nd of April. Tulips bloomed at Poonch's Krishan Chandar Park in the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. The garden boasts of more than 1 million tulips in various colors. The garden is set to mesmerize the general public and tourists alike from the 23rd of March. Ahead of the Holi festival to be celebrated on 25th March, devotees in the Indian city of Mathura's Sri Dwarikadhish temple play the festival of colours with the deity amid religious fervour on the occasion of Rang Bhari Ekadashi. And still to come on DD India News Hour. The iconic Empire State Building in New York City lights up as countdown begins for the T20 Men's Cricket World Cup. And in the Women's Champions League, Lyon and Chelsea edge past with roaring victories to solidify their semi-final spot.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Tensions in Haiti continue to escalate amid increased attacks by gangs. On Tuesday, an alleged gang leader, Ezequiel Alexandre, who escaped from Port-au-Prince prison recently, called on his supporters to take back control of the Carrefour Fuels neighborhood. The neighborhood was lost to an enemy gang after his arrest in June 2022. Alexandre was arrested on alleged involvement in murder, illegal possession of firearms, rape and armed robbery. Finland has once again topped the World Happiness Report. The report says that the country is filled with citizens promoting social support, health, freedom and generosity. Finland is topping the list for the 7th year in a row, closely followed by Denmark and Iceland. According to the report, the happiness rate has drastically declined in West Asia and North Africa. War-torn Afghanistan and Lebanon remain the two most unhappiest countries in the survey. The Earth is sending a distress signal. That's how the UN Secretary General summarized the latest UN climate report, which revealed that a number of weather records were broken last year. The report, launched by the World Meteorological Organization, has revealed that the planet is on the cusp of breaching the Paris Climate Accord's key warming threshold of 1.5 degrees Celsius. DD India's Trent Murray reports from Berlin.
This report by the WMO has confirmed that 2023 was the hottest year on record. It also said that the period from 2014 to 2023 reflected the hottest 10-year period on record. It's just one of several revelations which has led meteorologists who commissioned the report to sound the alarm on the warming of our planet. The scientists say that extreme weather last year wreaked havoc for millions of people and caused billions of dollars in economic losses. It also said key records on greenhouse gas emissions, sea ice loss and ocean temperatures were in many cases not just broken, but in their words, smashed. Launching the report, UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said the time to act was now.
Earth is issuing a distress call. The latest State of the Global Climate Report shows a planet on the brink. Fossil fuel pollution is sending climate chaos off the charts. Sirens are blaring across all major indicators. Last year saw record heat, record sea levels, and record ocean surface temperatures. Glaciers likely lost more ice than ever before. Some records are just chart-topping, they are chart-busting, and changes are speeding up. Sea level rises are accelerating, threatening coastal communities. And last September, Antarctic sea ice was 1 million square kilometers smaller than the previous record low for the time of year.
The report shows that global average temperatures in 2023 stood at 1.45 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Now that is just shy of the 1.5 degree threshold that was agreed in Paris. Scientists say that if the average rises above 1.5 degrees, well, the effects will be increasingly harmful for the people and the planet. The WMO says, though, there is one glimmer of hope, and that is renewable energy. Researchers say that new green power generation last year increased by nearly 50%, the highest it's ever seen in a single year. But experts say much more is needed to help hit decarbonisation targets. Trent Murray for DD India, Berlin.
And now to all the news from the world of sport with my colleague Deepika. Deepika, take it away.
Thanks and good afternoon, Ramesh. Let's quickly tell our viewers what's happening in the world of cricket as we are very nearing the corner of the T20 Cricket World Cup. So the iconic Empire State Building in New York City lights up as the countdown for the T20 Men's Cricket World Cup has begun. The two-time T20 World Cup champion Chris Gayle and US bowler Ali Khan launched the trophy tour for the tournament.
The ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024 Trophy Tour has officially been launched at New York's Empire State Building, with two-time champion Chris Gayle and USA star Ali Khan lighting up the iconic skyscraper. The universe boss, Chris Gayle himself, had the honor of pulling the lever down to light up New York's most iconic building.
I don't like cameras, so don't.
The out-of-the-world trophy tour will reach 15 countries across 4 continents, visiting iconic sporting teams and stadia, famous landmarks and legendary cricketers, and much more. The event marks the first time an ICC World Cup will be held in US. The 9th edition of Men's T20 World Cup begins on 1st June 2024 and will be played across the USA and West Indies.
Who's going to win this?
Oh, West Indies.
No, what?
Sports Desk, DD India.
The International Cricket Council on Tuesday suspended Sri Lanka all-rounder Vanendu Hasaranga from 2 test matches against Bangladesh. Hasaranga, who had retired from tests in August last year, was named in Sri Lanka's 17-man squad for the 2 test series against Bangladesh starting on Friday. But the ICC informed that the 26-year-old has breached the threshold of 8 team merit points, which pursuant to Article 7.6 of the court. On to badminton, India's Lakshya Sen on Tuesday jumped 5 places to reach world number 13 in the latest BWF rankings after his impressive run at the All England Badminton Championship. The 22-year-old from Almora had reached the semi-finals in Birmingham, and his efforts saw him improve to world number 12 from the 15th spot a week back in the Olympic Games qualification. Now, interestingly, the top 16 in the world by the end of April will make the cut for the Paris Olympics. In soccer, in the Women's Champions League first quarter-final round, Lyon, a record 8-time champion, came from behind to beat Benfica by 2-1, while Chelsea eased to a 3-0 victory over Ajax to close in on a second and straight appearance in the last 4 of Europe's top competition. Now, Benfica had started strongly with Andrea Falcon having an attempt tipped onto the bar before Faria's goal. But Delphine Casacurino equalised before Germany midfielder Sarah Depritz headed the winner in the 79th minute. On the other hand, Ajax played in front of a 400 fan in its last match, but a Dutch record of nearly 36,000 turned out for this tie and were buoyed when Ajax's all-time leading goal scorer Romeo Leuscher curled against the far post from outside the area, making way for Chelsea's first Champions League victory that is also chasing a quadruple of major trophies in coach Emma Hayes' final season in charge. Now, as per the latest statement released by the International Olympic Committee, Russians and Belarusians will not be able to take part in the parade of the athletes at the opening ceremony of the upcoming Paris Olympics, which is scheduled to take place in July. The Russians and Belarusians, who will be competing as individuals, neutral athletes under a specially created flag and with an anthem without lyrics produced by the IOC, will not be a part of that parade. Further to this, athletes from the two countries who qualify for the Games will be competing as independents without their flags and anthems.
The Paris ceremonies were discussed by the IOC Executive Board, and the following principles were established. AINs will not participate in the parade of delegations, teams during the opening ceremony, since they are individual athletes. But an opportunity will be provided to them to experience the event. This is the same scenario that was used for independent Olympic participants at the Olympic Games in Barcelona in 1992 for athletes from the former Yugoslavia. Secondly, a decision regarding the participation of AIN in the closing ceremony in Paris will be taken at a later stage, taking into consideration that not all teams that enter the closing ceremony, but it's more all athletes joining together. Thirdly, during the victory ceremonies, an AIN flag will be flown and the AIN anthem will be played should an AIN athlete win a medal. A flag for AIN has been approved and an anthem has been approved. The anthem has no lyrics and has been produced solely for the purpose of the AIN.
Now, the organisers of the 2030 World Cup, Morocco, Spain and Portugal, unveiled the logo for the tournament at an event in Portugal. FIFA has announced the last October that the three nations would co-host the 2030 World Cup with Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay, hosting the first three matches to mark the tournament's centenary. The inaugural World Cup in 1930 was held in Uruguay and won by the hosts after they defeated Argentina in the finals. So that was a quick wrap from the world of sports. Back to Rami.
Thank you, Deepika. Much appreciated. And finally, the Attica Zoological Park in Greece welcomed a rare and endangered pygmy hippopotamus for the first time in 10 years. Pygmy hippos are native to swamps and rainforests in Western Africa. The International Union for Conservation of Nature listed them as an endangered species. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. All of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.